And now, ladies and gentlemen, may I present you another exciting new episodes of Seth's Storytime. And this is Seth Loves Fizz and Bella 2003. I'm just pretending to be an announcer. Anyways, we're still reading Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, big storybook. And last week we left off with Thomas and Gordon, which is, all Thomas fans, is the very first episode of season 1. And this time we are up to the sad story of Henry. Let's begin. Once, an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain. It went into a tunnel and squeaked through its funnel and wouldn't come out again. The engine's name was Henry. His driver and fireman argued with him, but he would not move. "The rain will spoil my lovely green paint and red stripes," he said. The guard blew his whistle till he had no more breath, and waved his flag until his arms ached. But Henry still stayed in the tunnel and blew steam at him. "I am not going to spoil my lovely green paint and red stripes for you," he said rudely. The passengers came and argued too, but Henry would not move. Then along came Sir Topham Hatt, the man in charge of all the engines on the island of Sodal. Everyone called him the Fat Controller. And as you all Thomas fans know, that this is the first episode to feature the Fat Controller himself. Isn't that exciting? Let's continue. "We will pour you out," said the Fat Controller. But Henry only blew steam at him and made him wet. So they hooked a rope onto the front of Henry, and everyone pulled except the Fat Controller. "My doctor has forbidden me to pull," he said. They pulled and pulled, but still Henry stayed in the tunnel. Then they tried pushing from the other end. "1, 2, 3, push," said the Fat Controller. But he didn't help. "My doctor has forbidden me to push," he said. They pushed and pushed and pushed. But still, Henry stayed in the tunnel. At last, Thomas came along. The guard waved his red flag and stopped him. Everyone argued with Henry. "Look, it has stopped raining," they said. "Yes, but it will begin again soon," said Henry. "And what will become of my green paint with red stripes then?" So they brought Thomas up, and he pushed and puffed and pushed as hard as he could. But still, Henry stayed in the tunnel. At last, even the Fat Controller gave up. "We shall take away your rails," he said, "and leave you here for always and always and always." They took up the old rails and built a wall in front of Henry so that he couldn't get out of the tunnel anymore. All Henry could do was to watch the trains rushing through the other tunnel. He was very sad because he thought no one would ever see his lovely green paint with red stripes again. As time went by, and Edward and Gordon would often go through the tunnel next to Henry. Edward would say, peep, peep, hello. And Gordon would say, poop, 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 serves you right. Poor Henry had no steam to answer. His fire had gone out. Soot and dirt from the tunnel had spoiled his lovely green paint and red stripes. He was cold and unhappy and wanted to come out and pull trains too. He wondered if he would ever be allowed to pull trains again. And yeah, that's it actually. That's the story of the sad story of Henry. And I will see you guys for the next part of the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends big storybook for Seth's Storytime. And this is Seth Loves Fizz and Bella 2003, signing off.